welcome everyone to the Explore Education OSH Week, a special week dedicated to the OSH community. My name is Mufara Maringe and I'm the Community and Engagement Lead here at Explore. And I'm happy to be hosting today's kickoff and roadmap session alongside Priya here today. Before we begin, I'd like to just take a moment to acknowledge and pay respects to the traditional custodians of the lands of which we all meet today. I am honored to be presenting to you from the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We'd also love to know where you are all dialing in from all across the country. So feel free to type in the chat. The chat is open. Feel free to type in the chat, say good morning, say hello, let us know where you are. And yeah, let's kick off our OSH Week. So we have a range of sessions available this week, 7 of them to be exact, and these have been carefully curated for you, our audience today. Hello, Kirsten from Harvey Bay. So you can scan the QR code if you have your phone ready. You can scan the QR code and to check out each session. It's definitely not too late to register, but we're going to take a bit of time to look at our agenda for the week and see what we're up to. All right, so today we have the kickoff and roadmap session, which we are in right now. Very shortly, I'll also hand off to Priya Bana, who will take us through the Explore roadmap, looking at office, playground, and home. Later today, we have the very first of our 3 special webinars. This one is presented by Dr. Mia Christensen and Rebecca Fryer from G8 Education. This will focus all on the image of the child and child agency in the context of early childhood education. So yes, be sure to sign up to that one if you haven't already. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll have 2 of our Superstar Explore training team members with sessions for you. So the first one is bookings and occupancy with Tash Freeman. This session will cover all the best tips and practices to optimize your booking processes for your center. And then in the afternoon, Candice will go through programming and planning in our playground software, showcasing different ways educators can enhance planning at your center while using Playground. Now, if anyone here doesn't use our office or playground platforms at your center, you're still more than welcome to join the above sessions for an inside look to see how our software works. Don't be afraid to register and pick the brains of our training team. They're absolutely here for it. As we move on to Thursday, we have Tash again in the morning with a webinar around vacation care in office. You know, with the Easter holidays coming up, this is a great session to tap into and see how to leverage Explore Office to streamline your vacation care operations. And then later that afternoon, we'll be joined by Sarah Louise Gandolfo, founder of Learning to Lead in Early Childhood, for our second special webinar. Sarah Louise's session, Boost Your Leadership in OSH, will cover 5 key leadership principles and the skills that will help current and emerging leaders succeed. So current and emerging leaders, do join in. And then finally, on Friday, we have our 3rd special webinar and our last OSH Week session, and this one is all about play. So Kylie Keane from Keen About will take us through playwork principles and how these align with the My Time Our Place version 2.0. And additionally, Kylie will explore why play is so important for children. So again, don't be afraid to join any and all of our sessions. That's our program for the week. As you can see, it's very expansive with an absolutely prime lineup, and we're so excited for you to join us. So yes, you can scan the QR code on the screen and join us throughout the rest of the week. All of our sessions will also be recorded, so be sure to check on our website next week for the links to the recordings. With that, let's get started with our first official session, our roadmap. So you might have seen in all the advertisement that we had our director of product, Harry. Unfortunately, he's unable to join us due to illness, so we do wish him a speedy recovery. But we are lucky today to have Priya Bana, who is a senior product manager here at Explore Education, who will take us through the roadmap. Priya has been with Explore for 3 years now and is a valued member of our product team. So today she'll be taking us through the features on our roadmap that you, our services, will love, as well as a bit of a background as to why these features are on our roadmap for 2024. We also have a Q&A section in this meeting, so please do feel free to send your questions through in the chat for Priya, and then we'll tackle them as we go and after she's finished presenting. Priya, how are you going today?
Good, thank you, Mufaro. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, albeit last minute. You came in this morning, but we're super grateful to have you on board. And I'll officially hand over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me to talk at Explore's very first OSH week. Super excited. Thank you all who are joining in. A lot of people from Queensland, which I love. But thank you for joining us this morning from wherever you are in Australia for our first ever OSH week. Very excited to be able to present the roadmap, which is largely shaped by people like yourselves here today. So another big thank you for sharing all of your feedback. It might not be directly with the product team, but trust me, we always get the feedback, whether it is through Canny, which I can talk to about in a second, but also any interactions that you guys are having with our support team, with our training team, with your account managers. All of that feedback comes to us, and we are so, so grateful that you share those insights with us, because it does help us shape our products into the future. So with that, I will go to the next slide. Thanks, Mafaro. So we have a few key focus areas for our roadmap for 2024. As you can see on the screen here, I will do that age-old thing of reading off the screen, but I just want to mention a little bit about each one. So we want to make sure that what we do for our customers really fit their business model. So increased occupancy, provider revenue, compliance, efficiency, and learning have different meanings for different care types. So what that means for an LDC can be quite different to OSHs, as you all know. So we're really trying to focus on these areas, but with the OSH lens. And I'll take you through some of the examples of how we're trying to achieve that for you all in the coming months this year. Next slide, please, Mafaro. So the reason that we picked those 5 areas before, again, is basically due to all the feedback that we're getting. Just a bit about the process of how we define a roadmap at Explore. We take all of those pieces of information that you share with us, and then we try and theme them as best we can. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of pieces of feedback that we get. So if you see something on here that maybe you've talked to us about, that's probably due to your feedback, and some things you might not have really thought about or even shared with us, but maybe something that you're experiencing. So some of the areas to do with occupancy and provider revenue, largely due to unique challenges OSHs are facing with different session types, after school, before school, and vacation care, and how those interplay with the parent experience of booking, but also filling those sessions last minute, and making sure that staffing is at a position where you are breaking even and it is profitable, for example, to increase occupancy and have more spaces in if the venue provides. So some of the things that we've been hearing from you all is around driving those last minute bookings for daily wait lists, how multiple venues, if you're a provider with lots of venues for holiday camps, for example, or holiday programs, how are you optimizing the efficiency and occupancy of getting bookings for those venues across your sites? Also discounts and pricing promotions to, again, increase occupancy and making sure that parents are, that your site is one of the first sites that they are thinking of when they're looking at care options. So those are some of the examples that we have heard from OSHs around occupancy and provider revenue. In the next slide, I'm going to talk about, thanks Mafaro, about compliance, efficiency, and learning. So a lot of the time we are hearing challenges around staffing ratios leading to time poor educators. So I think this is an age-old concept that everyone can attest to and relate to, with time poor educators on the floor. And we want to make sure that our mission rings true for everyone, which is making sure that we can optimize and automate as much of the administration as possible, so more time and energy is spent on the children. So we really, really, really want to make sure that rostering, anything to do with children bookings or child bookings, session bookings, and ratio management is really easy to manage. Lastly, we also want to make sure that bookings, again, with those bookings coming through and the relationship with finding staff, is something that is done also ahead of time, but as well as in real time to make sure that you're filling up spaces as you need them. And then in terms of the revenue, age-old thing about chasing debt is really difficult. So how can we make sure that as admins, you can stay on top of parent debt levels, but also parents can also control how they are controlling their balances and making sure that they are also staying on top of their debt and hopefully avoiding chasing, although it's probably going to be a problem for lots of centres. With the cost of living. So we want to make sure that we're helping you in those respects. Some of the things that people are asking for in relation to compliance, efficiency, and learning is to do with how do we manage learning across a child's entire journey, whether they are going to multiple services, but also multiple children at once. So how do we make it really easy for educators who are looking after a large group of children to document that journey in a really seamless and easy way, and try and do as much heavy lifting as we can in our Explore products. I mentioned the self-managed debt of parents, hopefully taking a little bit of the onus back on the staff to chase the debt, but putting a bit more control and visibility into the parents so they can help stay on top of it themselves. And then also booking multiple children into various sessions in OSH is something that we have heard for a while, and we are very excited, specifically in the product team, to be able to tackle this challenge. We have had a lot of feedback around parent bookings, and when you have multiple children and you're booking vacation care and before school care or after school care, it can get a bit clicky. So we are really, really excited to kind of transform that whole process in home, which I'll talk to in a second. And then I think there's one more slide like this, or maybe we could jump straight into the next slide. Mafari. Yeah, cool. So I've got a couple of slides here. One's focusing on office. So this is for our admin staff, staff in head office, and then I'll talk to playground. So we've got three key focus areas that I mentioned out of the 5: provider revenue, occupancy, and efficiency. So I mentioned before about fees and pricing and discounts. So currently in office today, we do have things around discounts and waiving the gap to support any state or federal funding, but there are also, as we know, business decisions and business models that you might have that incentivize parents to book either well in advance or book multiple sessions, and we want to support you with providing that level of flexibility for your parents in the market. So we really want to have a look at how we can configure different discount types for you. We've spoken to a fair few OSHers who have multiple day discounts or promotional codes that they really want to be able to set up in office so that parents can book. So those are some of the examples that we're trying to cover with the discounts and fees and pricing. Also around pricing, it's things like cancellation policies, any fees that you might have where you're trying to instill a behavior in your parents around making sure they provide the right notice period and educating them about how the best way to book into care will be. So any additional fees or non-attendance fees, late fees, etc., built into the system, so it takes all of that manual load off the admins, and you guys can just trust that the system's doing it because you said it once, and it's kind of set and forget. So whatever your policy is, making sure that that can be set up in office and it's ready to go and being implemented. And then on the occupancy side, I'm going to talk about waitlist and multi-site enrollment. So like I mentioned before, ensuring that waitlist, you have scenarios where people have booked in advance, and then for whatever reason, they're no longer able to attend care. Making sure that that spot is then filled by people who also are looking for that same care. So not thinking the LDC waitlist style of, waitlisting into care, but talking about the families who are already attending your centre. How do you make sure that the care that they're looking for a day, where a day is fully booked out, closer to the time, there is a spot that becomes available and they're able to get the care that they need. So tools around communicating those availabilities in a last minute fashion, but making sure that people also have enough notice to arrange the care that they are requiring. And then multi-site enrollments, like I mentioned before, if you're a provider with multiple venues, making it really seamless for parents to be able to attend different venues. For example, different holiday care programs that maybe their children are interested in at different sites. If they've filled out the enrollment form once and your business has their information, making sure that when they have to do the enrollment form again, it's not a barrier to entry for these parents. They can review the information that's on file for them and for their children and seamlessly book in, and making sure that journey between parents interested in care and booking into the care that they need is as short as possible. And then lastly, communications around efficiency. So hopefully you are all familiar with CommCenter in Office, which does a really fantastic job of communicating between the center or the site and families and parents. Something that we do want to help providers do is just take it that level above and help manage the communications from a business or provider level. Something that's not maybe site specific, but more provider or business level. So if there is a policy change across the business, how do you communicate that easily to your families? Rather than having a site-by-site, message going out, but more so communicating from a provider level for some of those topics that are related to everyone across all of the sites. And then also making sure notifications for parent communication back to either head office or site aren't missed, to make sure that all the communication is very transparent and easy to manage. So two-way communication is very key for us here. Thank you, Mafara. If you could move to the next slide. Awesome. And then we have our educator and parent experience, which is really, really crucial. So we've got two sets of roadmap items here that are focused all around learning. And then we have an occupancy and a revenue focus as well. So trying to increase the breadth for playground and home. Making sure that we are helping you and your businesses do all of the key focus areas. So for learning, that is specifically to playground. So we're really trying to make sure that we have our ear to the ground. We're working with our educator advisory group. Some of the people speaking on the panel this week are actually members of the group, and they have provided us with extreme insight into making sure that playground is really suited to documenting learning in a really easy way. So even things like terminology uplift, and sharing posts, creating posts. As I mentioned, if we can make sure that whole journey and whole process of an educator documenting a child's learning and it hitting a parent or a family member in the home app and making that journey as small as possible to reduce any barriers or reduce any blockers there, that's exactly what our focus area is on the learning, making sure that learning is done well on site and then also shared really easily with people not on site, aka the families. And we're also focusing more on the playground side with programming and planning. And this is largely with enhanced templates and prompts and making sure collaboration is something at the forefront of the learning documentation journey. So, we want to make sure that your educators who are creating these templates or documenting the learning in such a way can collaborate with their peers and colleagues, but also share ideas really quickly and share efficiencies really quickly. So if there's a template that's working really well for you, why not make that really easy to share and be part of your documentation process and programming and planning process as a whole at your business. So helping with the communication and collaboration across your educators. Then we also have booking enhancements. Like I mentioned before, feedback that we've heard a lot about is parent booking experience. So we are really, really excited to make it easier and faster and way less clicky when parents, especially with multiple children, are booking in for all of the care that they need and making bulk bookings and bookings across more of their children, vacation care, after school care, all in one go, and making sure that any requests that are coming through, notifications are also hitting both the admin side but also the parent side about that feedback on whether spots are available, and if they are, would you like to grab that spot? So booking enhancements is something that we're really excited for in the Home app. The other thing that we're also doing in the Home app, in line with notifications, is making sure parents are notified of their payments. So any information around upcoming payments, making sure that parents know in advance so they can better prepare their finances, making sure they have the right funds ready to be taken out as part of the automatic payment cycle. And then also, if for whatever reason payments do fail, parents can also be notified of that straight away and hopefully reduce that time where it takes, eliminates all of the chasing and notifying a parent that a payment has failed. They might not be checking their direct debit or their bank statement, but they can get that notification in Home in real time and then either discuss with you payment plans or just quickly, transfer funds or whatever it needs to be, but making sure that that information is shared in real time to parents so they can help stay on top of their finances as well. So that's where we finished with the slides, I believe. Mafara, just double check for me. Yeah, perfect. So I'm really, really excited that you guys all had a sneak preview of the roadmap today. We are focusing, like I mentioned, on a lot of these items and focus areas with the OSH lens. My colleagues and team members in the product team have been speaking with a handful of OSH providers in the last week about some of these things, but also some other items that we're thinking about even beyond. So if you are interested in sharing your feedback with us, letting us know what your challenges are and how we can help you with that, please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out. I can put my email address in the chat. Otherwise, if you want to reach out to your account manager and they can put you in touch with us and we can have a bit of a chat, we'd love to hear what else you have on your mind and some things that are still challenging you, because we would love to know about it and see how we can help you with that. So I'll leave that there, and then I guess we'll be doing the Q&A. So just looking in the chat. Oh, Mafara, you want to?
Yeah, quickly, just wanted to share some of the feedback that's happening in the chat. Lauren says waitlisting and multi-site enrollments is a feature that's exciting as they're using workarounds at the moment for their providers. So, they're looking forward to that one. And then Haley also says the parent payment option is a great idea, will assist with large services if parents are being notified. So again, really cool to see these options being so well received. Again, feel free to pop through any other feedback you have in the chat, any questions in the Q&A. Priya, there is one here about the general process. What is the general process for getting feature requests into the Explore roadmap? So I guess this is a great opportunity for you to talk through things like our Canny board and how we take our how we go from customer feedback to feature release.
Totally. So as I mentioned before, in the product team, we kind of stay really close to all of our teams, whether that's an interaction that you have with someone working at Explore, your account manager, the support agent that you're speaking to for any issues that you have. All of that is documented, and we can have a look and analyze all of the feedback. But you can also, if you have any ideas or thoughts, post it on our public Canny forum, which Mafara, we can share the link in the chat for that. Basically, what that does is allows our entire community to have their voice and have their say on what they'd like to see in the product, but also to collaborate with each other and bounce off each other's ideas. We've usually seen lots of people either voting for one particular item, but also commenting and growing that idea even further by adding other context or other examples that may happen in the industry. So that's another really great source for us, especially when we are looking at particular problems, like, for example, the parent payment option. We've done a whole bunch of research, and then we also might reach out to people who have mentioned payment options on Canny, get some further insight, and just making sure that we've covered all our bases so that when we do release any new features into the product, it helps solve a whole range of problems on that particular area, rather than just maybe one thin slice or sliver of that particular focus area. So yes, please, if you have any feedback, that you can share it with us on Canny, and our product team are looking at that daily. Sometimes we'll be able to reply to you. Hopefully, we love replying and saying that that's under review and is on the roadmap. But as you'll see when you jump on there, there is a lot of feedback that we are getting, and it's just making sure that we are finding the right things at the right time to deliver for you all.
Awesome. And there is another question, which can be a bit of a loaded one, and it's always fun to answer. But it's when are these features coming out, Priya?
Yeah, I wish that we could deliver everything in a really short amount of time. There is a bit of a process. Like I mentioned, we want to cover all our bases. So we do a lot of research before we even get to thinking about how we will solve the problem, but really understanding the problem. We don't, unfortunately, have the luxury of all having a background in childcare. So myself, my colleagues, we try and talk to as many people as we can, experts like yourselves on the call, and even trying to get out onto site and kind of visualizing and seeing how this happens in a real world context, to make sure that when we build something in the product, it makes sense and it can be applied really easily. So there is a lot of work, but which takes a fair bit of time that goes into the process. And then we want to make sure, obviously, that everything works. We do get a lot of feedback, and we are trying to make sure that we cover all breadths of the industry, so Kindy, LDC, and OSH, and making sure that that spread is even. So we do our best, and we just need to work really hard.
Thanks, Priya. It is a hard balancing game for sure. And I can see a couple of comments in here about how to upload newsletters or parent information to families. So Jack and Pauline, there are a couple of ways you can do that via like our comm center in Office. You can include attachments, or you can do it through your playground as well. So best way to handle this one, I think, is if you get in touch with our support team, they can sort of help you, showing you how to upload attachments to the comm center. We also have a range of training resources available to everyone, which I will post in the link in the chat now. So you can check out that link, and that'll basically take you to a link of massive resources, from support guides to learning videos to where you can join our Explore admin community groups on Facebook as well. And that's a nice space to join other people in there too. All right, we are hitting bang on 11:30. I can see there are no other questions in the Q&A. So I think we're like pretty much ready to wrap it up. So I'll quickly just share that our next session later today, is Image of the Child with Dr. Mia Christensen and Rebecca Fryer from G8 Education. So that kicks off in about an hour and a half exactly. So if you haven't already, you still have time to sign up for this one. QR code is there on the screen. I'm also going to share the link to our wider OSH Week webinars today, so you can check out all the sessions again if you haven't had the chance to. And with that, that wraps up our kickoff and roadmap session. Thank you again so much, Priya, for joining us and presenting the roadmap. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the rest of our sessions throughout the week. So happy OSH Week and have a great day, everyone. Cheers.